Hi, my name's Frank. I work for East Street Arts. I'm the Artist Development Coordinator in the Spaces team. East Street Arts it's an arts charity. It's based in Leeds. We've been running for 30 years this year now. They set it up to kind of meet the need of local artists who didn't have any workspace, and it's developed from there into a charity that now has 5 permanent studio buildings, plus an art hostel, plus about 50 temporary properties around the country.
So I'm Maisie and I'm a prop, set designer, visual artist. My practice is like set and prop, so building things a lot of the time for other people, like for fashion shoots. A little bit commercial, like did some still life photography and sets as well for some clients. I use a lot of like repurposed material, like very inspired by the everyday. I've gotten a bit more into like fine art, sculpture. So my practice now just tries to blend all of that into one big thing.
I'm Georgia and I am an illustrator and image maker, working kind of mainly in like 2D mediums. I do a lot of like oil pastel drawings, I make comics, I make a lot of books and zines, and my work is kind of like mostly narrative based. So mainly I would like start a day off at the studio, or ideally like best practice would be to kind of just feel some stuff out in my sketchbook and kind of draw some shapes. I draw a lot of like people's heads and figuring out how I want faces to look. These are some sketches from like when I was making some Christmas cards over the Christmas period.
We offer the artists one of our studio spaces in our permanent building, Patrick Studios, that normally hosts about 2 artists for around 6 months, and we're responsive to their needs in what they kind of want to use the space for.
I applied for the residency because I was trying to get back into drawing and having a regular creative practice after graduation, and was really struggling to do that from my bedroom in my house. So I kind of wanted to like expand from that and try out having a space, but couldn't really afford to be like paying for anything. So it's nice that the residency is funded, because it gave me an opportunity to try that out.
Yeah, well this is my massive cocktail glass that I wish was real, because it would be a nice sized cocktail to have. I chose to apply for this residency because I knew like I would need a space to keep making after uni. Like, there was no way I could keep exploring this avenue if I didn't have a space like this. And luckily, yeah, I got it, and it's allowed me to just keep doing what I was doing before and not lose momentum, which is nice.
So when they're based here, we offer quite ad hoc responsive support based on whatever it is they need. We've got a few facilities here that we can induct them on, such as rhizo printing, laser cutters, 3D printers, 3D ceramics.
Kind of main like practical stuff that I've taken advantage of on the residency is printing on the risograph printer over at Convention House across the road. They're basically just like these really cheap, fast printers that print in really nice, bright colours. Been like printing on that and kind of making prints, doing a little bit of like zine making and stuff, and it's been quite like affordable being able to like manage that myself.
We also offer them use of our project spaces here, which can also be up to a week for free, which means they can use that to host. Often people host their first solo shows or workshops, events, even just testing work out, documenting it.
They have like 3D printing, scanning, got a 3D clay printer that I didn't even know was a thing. So that's been a really great resource to have, especially outside of like finishing uni, where you've got access to like woodwork and metal and all of this. To still have something like that here is so good.
And then I've got a membership at Leeds Print Workshop downstairs. So there's been like opportunity for me to do some screen printing and stuff, which again, you can do from home, but it's like way less stressful to do it in like a designated workshop environment. And it's nice because the cleanup's a little bit easier.
The benefits to graduates is that they're in a studio building, surrounded by other professional artists. It's a really nice step between kind of their leaving university and moving into their own professional space. It's also a chance to be in a network of other artists who are maybe a few years ahead of them, and surrounded by staff as well, so they get to see how a small arts organisation operates, which is great because it means then they can kind of see how they might approach organisations in the future to work with them. And benefit for us as well as we get to see kind of new graduates and new practices that are coming out of university and kind of really keep in touch with what's going on at the moment.
It's been really nice like sharing the space with Maisie because we've both got really different practices. Like she works kind of mostly 3D and does a lot of like prop making and like set design and set building, and I just like working on paper. Quite small.
It's been like so lovely. We've really gotten on and we're like drawn to the same way, kind of everyday things, making the mundane a bit silly.
For people that are thinking of applying, have like some sort of vague idea of like what you want to get out of it, even if that is just like, I want to figure out what it feels like to have a studio space, or like how it feels to kind of try and grow your practice alongside like working a part-time job, or like, oh, I want to try and make bigger work and see what that feels like and I need the space for that. Yeah, just have like an idea of like what you're gonna do when you're here, but also don't keep it too rigid because things will change, and like some people are capable of like coming in and saying, I'm gonna do this big project and like here are all the steps that I'm gonna take to do it, but I don't know, I wasn't really one of those people. So I think it's nice if you go in with like flexibility as well.
I would say if you're applying to these residencies, really like research, especially if you find out that you have which one you've got, like really research the facilities so that when you start it, you're just like, go, and you know exactly like kind of what to ask for, what to get on, because I didn't do that. I'm a very last minute person, I didn't do that. And like when I got here, I was just kind of so overwhelmed by opportunity that it took my mind like a month to get into this kind of like zone and to actually focus on what I wanted to do, because I had so many ideas going around my head. So yeah, I think just come up with a little bit of like a plan, like kind of know where you want to start so you can just get into it and just have fun with it.
Think about like what's the most important thing that you kind of want to get out of the physical space, I guess, and like the community that you're going to be given. Be open-minded, make friends with whoever you end up paired with if you end up getting on the residency, because that will make the experience a lot more pleasant, because you'll feel like you've got like your own little community. Tidy your space regularly, and try and do that at the end of every kind of session or every day that you come in, because it will make the next day a lot easier.
I'm Ruby, also known as Rue Studios, and I'm a surface pattern designer. I design for packaging, whether it's packaging, wallpaper, fabrics, anything. If there's a surface, I'll design it, quite frankly. So this was the originals from Mabel and Rue. It was a project I created in my second year of university, and it was called London's Dogs, and I was challenged to create something that was whack. Whack was the brief that I was told. I've focused on doing dogs and creatures, giving them more of a whimsical feel. I have been creating a body of work that I can use to take forward in my practice throughout my career. So this one is a newspaper article, and then this is just general London Street. This is Bella the Labrador. She's eating a BLT, which stands for Bark Less Please.
I'm Rebecca Buchanan. I did illustration at Leeds Art Uni, and now I do a bit of freelancing and printmaking as well. These are just little bits and bobs on my iPad, so like a few just like scribbly ideas and some ideas for like a new greetings card. After uni, after graduating, I was a bit unsure of like what my next steps would be. So when I saw that uni had a 6 months residency, I thought, oh great, that's a good like structure to like plan and maybe like give myself some time to think about my practice and like what my next steps could be. and then like a few screen print like ideas and plans. I like to try and plan them on my iPad to see how like colours work together before printing.
The main focus was to create a work that I could use going forward to promote myself as a designer, and also just to have the social media content and just build a brand. I really wanted to have a space that I could just get here and feel focused and energised and just be like, right, I'm gonna make the best work I possibly could. We're also now just working on launching Rouge Studios, and these are a couple for my Valentine's collection. The most exciting day was day one. It felt like the first day of being a designer and the first day of starting my career.
I'm Elizabeth Forbes, I'm a freelance print designer, and I'm currently on my last month of the Duke Studios LAU funded studio scheme. As a freelance print designer, I do pattern and print for textiles, but predominantly fashion, as well as sort of reworking existing artwork and things like that. So this is an example of what I would show clients or customers, or one of the type of works I do. During COVID and especially when I started freelancing, I was working from home, and I think at the start of your freelance career or general creative career, it's quite nice to be able to have a space where you're networking, or you have that break point where you can, it's 10:30, everyone like comes in for a coffee or a tea or whatever. And I think that sort of at Duke Studios and just generally the funded studio space, it gave me that work-life balance. And sometimes I do work from home, but I try to go into the studio as much as possible and wake up early, because it's quite easy sometimes when you're your own boss to wake up at like 11:30, not do work till 2. So it sort of created that nice work-life balance. And these are some examples of some of the pieces of fabrics designs I've made, textiles designs, actually relating to the Leeds architecture, and some of those I think from the Leeds University building and campus.
I think having this opportunity has allowed me to like spend time to like think about my practice, because I was a bit unsure, didn't really know what I was doing with my illustration practice. But now I've got a bit more of a clearer idea by having time to just sit and think, and also the help of like Abigail and the team. They've been really supportive and like encouraging.
It allowed me to be supported, and I get mentor and the support from Leeds Arts Uni as well. It just sort of enabled me to break down the points I needed in order to freelance versus just freelancing and not knowing what to do.
I've had collaborations with a company in Wakefield, and I did all their Christmas wrapping paper and Christmas cards. This was my first Christmas collection, so they're inspired by all the pets that live looking out of their windows at Christmas time. I have an interest with interiors, and above there is actually an interior design studio, and they pointed me in the right direction of helping with interiors. This was everyone buzzing at Christmas, and this was all the bees having a good time at Christmas.
During the residency, I found out that they were able to fund like a year's membership at the Leeds Print Workshop, which was so good because I only just got into printing at the end of uni, so I was a bit gutted, like all the facilities, like I missed them. So being able to go back was so good, and like such a good opportunity to return back to my printing practice and continue like making work that I could then later use and sell on markets.
These are examples of sort of quick pieces of work I just do in order to sort of fuel my creative brain, looking at different colourways, and just with sort of the magazines that I have at the moment. Not really a theme as such, but just to look at different colourways and how colour engages with each other. And I can find this really useful to do to sort of when I need help for or to be inspired for certain projects, or if a client wants a certain colourway, and it's showing those options to them. I've been able to sort of chat to a lot of people at Duke, and it's nice to see those that have been freelancing for a few years in a different sector of the creative industry, but I'm able to sort of have that as an inspiration point or somewhere that I could be in the future, and how they use the space themselves as well.
When I was starting out with Rouge Studios, they helped me plan out my customer base and a general plan of where to go with the design. I also one day would like to create a children's book, and they said they'd point me in the right direction of the other alumni who could help me with that.
The mentor I've got, she's got her own business in predominantly interior furnishing, and it was nice to hear her viewpoint. Also the workshops occasionally I would do from Leeds Arts Uni, such as marketing yourself or financial help and things like that.
There was mentoring, which was a great help, as I got to speak with and have regular chats with one of the members in the studio that I was in, and she was able to guide me through and give me some advice on her experiences within illustration.
They have helped me with my CV, portfolio, and even just filling out general forms and things, and it's helped loads. I've been able to have a success base to create work that I can take forward as a designer, and the time and opportunity has really helped.
When I got introduced to my mentor, Charlotte, that was really nice because it gave me sort of working points to say, okay, well I need to do my website for the end of October, and then I'd sort of be given the tools or encouraged to, complete the tasks in order then to further on in freelance. And so it's one thing when you start, I want to do all this, but when you have someone like the support from the mentor, say Abigail, that was sort of the main thing I'd take away from this, the breakthroughs of being able to say, I want to do this, and then the next time we'd meet, I will have completed it. So it's like a tick, and it felt nice. I think it's really important to have a mentor as a creative, even when you're at university or when you're 5-10 years in your career, because it gives a different viewpoint. But I think also it's for personal development. That was mainly the thing I've taken from the mentoring, which was a part of the funded studio scheme, because it's a way of sort of looking at everything as a whole versus I just want to do this, I just want to be a freelance print designer, but actually how do I get there, and what are different routes and different even services I could provide and stuff. And I think the main thing I got from having a mentor is that how to sell yourself and just to be confident in what you're doing and not giving up really.
So this residency has definitely helped me come out of my comfort zone a bit more and speak to new people, which has helped with networking, because networking is so important in the creative industry.
One of my biggest problems is I end up with too many ideas and I feel overwhelmed, and it can just feel too much of where to start, and just being able to sit down and just create work with no business in mind, no selling, no branding, no nothing, just being able to just freely create, that's helped a lot, and it just puts you back on track.
Initially it did feel quite daunting, potentially, just the way that, okay, you're in a new space, but I enjoyed that a lot, and I think it pushed me to say I'm going to be ready and out the house for 7:30, in for 8, even if it's 3 days a week. And then what I achieved in those times was more than what I could have achieved if I was at home and didn't start working till 10. So
I would say I would not only use the space, but I'd use the other studio spaces around you, speak to the other residents within the space, as you can learn from them as well, as they have their experiences and their business experiences and maybe things they've done wrong, or how they can help, or how you can improve.
Definitely take up the mentoring, because you get to pick who you want to speak to, and you can get so much useful information that you might not have known after finishing uni.
You need to have a little bit of an idea of what you want to do. It can be as broad as I want to freelance, but I think if you've got something at the beginnings, or you've already got a bit of support, I say just go for it. And I think it'd be really beneficial for networking as well, and sort of being confident in your own practice.
The residency goes fast. Your time just flies, so I would just say plan the entire thing out from the beginning of the month to the end, because it just flies by.
My name's Charlie, I'm a 2D and 3D illustrator and game artist. and my practice kind of involves the themes of environmentalism and diversity and how that goes into making a video game.
I'm Hamza Ashraf. I'm a documentary filmmaker, photographer and curator. Most of my practice is a lot based around documenting my own lived experiences and of those around me and the community I surround myself with, and also wanting to break barriers in gallery spaces and curation as well for POC people.
So as a game artist, I draw characters and creatures, and I dabble in comic books as well. And a lot of that I try and focus on how we can positively impact the environment and show that in popular media like video games. I also try and focus on like diversity, especially social diversity, and kind of trying to give all my characters different backgrounds. I do a lot of 2D and 3D, traditional and digital, and I have started to dabble in 3D modelling and sculpting for video games, especially video game assets. I think as an artist at the moment it's kind of hard to find different opportunities, and when I saw this as an opportunity to have my own space and to have kind of a creative place that I can go and practice what I do and keep pushing my dream to be a game artist.
Honestly, the residency was my little do-over with my university period because I started out wanting to do filmmaking, but I slowly realized that's not the only thing I wanted to do. And then when you're international students, kind of like a bit of a harder way to try and switch courses and stuff. So I think it was sort of my way of giving myself the time to explore my other ventures as well, go more into my photography and design and my curation as well. I did a workshop around writing practices and holistic approaches to what an artist feels like when writing autobiographical work and sharing it, and like all the complexities that come with it. It was like a really lovely experience because most of the work I do is quite interactive and immersive, installation based. It's like often getting people to engage with the work, write with the work, cry with me in the room and everything. So it was almost like whoever attended the workshop was almost having the same conversation with themselves around the room. And it was quite a lovely experience to know that like that type of writing can be like held in a workshop space as well. And even with our advisor for the residency program, she's been able to connect me like with a really good local graphic designer who's been like really helping me make my project more into like an archival collection. And with him, I've been able to like find out so much more about like what it goes into printing, all the ins and outs with the contracts, and the middleman with wanting to sell it in shops, all the inspiration that comes with it. And I think it's kind of like opened up my eyes a lot with where that project could go. So having him on the side as well has been like really helpful.
As part of the funding for this space, Abby, our supporting officer, found a freelance game designer, and he's helped me look into how the industry works and how professional games are actually made, especially because I want to focus on the art within the games and how you turn assets and put them into a game engine, the creative side of game design.
I've really stayed in touch with a lot of the network I made in uni, and through that I've secured a few curation commissions as well that are coming up later on the year, which I'm going to use to sort of tease out my new project in bits by bits till the end of the year. And I think that's also been like a really good thing because I really miss being in the gallery again, so that's something I'm quite excited about. I've been working on a different project that I've been sort of building a whole more network with, mainly with African and Asian creatives, wanting to build a new startup business that sort of amplifies their work through a magazine format. So it's something that I've been doing a lot with through some of the mentoring schemes I got accepted into around end of last year through Mentoring Matters and Dad Prada Mentoring Family Tree. So through that, I've been sort of expanding my network through like London and Paris. It all just depends on when I get the funding to sort of make that possible, I suppose.
So I kind of made the effort to stay in touch with my university tutors, and I think Abby kind of helped with that as well. And one of my old university tutors, Alex Chambers, kind of introduced me to a boot camp opportunity and I applied for it, and it's the Games Ready Industry Bootcamp with Games Republic. So I'm currently on that now, and that's kind of linked me with a network of like-minded individuals and game designers. I'm currently on this program right now, and we kind of get given live briefs and industry professionals that lecture on skills that you'd need to go into the industry.
I think my advisor meetings helped a lot. Being with Abigail throughout like our sessions here and there, I would just bring like a whole meeting list of like, so this is what's happening, this is what's happening. I'm quite lost on it. And also her feedback's been really lovely as well. So I think with the residency and through the mentoring, that the funding also gets you through. You can sort of like make those little decisions with them, and at the same time, you learn as like each session goes through and learn with each mistake as well. I'm planning on wanting to relocate and get more into gallery spaces outside of Leeds. And I think through the residency, it's sort of like giving me the leg up to sort of do that, and with these commissions sort of even build my CV a bit more as well.
I kind of look more towards indie studios, so I think as a creative you get more free reign of the creative side of making that game. So I think for my goals and aspirations at the moment is to try and get myself into an indie studio and express my talents and creativity there.
My word of advice was I wish I'd given myself a little bit of a break, but burnout definitely came in midway through the residency program, so that was something that rather than trying to fight it, I just had to go through it. I felt through the emotions of it, and I was still writing and stuff, but I forced myself to not edit or try and do something with it, because I feel like had I done that, I would have just made it even worse. Yeah, I feel like I kind of managed it well, but you live and you learn.
I'd say be confident in what you do. I think it's quite difficult these days to come across opportunities, and when you do come across an opportunity, you kind of just have to grab it, hold of it, and believe that you're good enough.
Definitely go in with a really good plan. Definitely be confident in yourself. Use this chance to sort of build all those projects that you want to do, and like think bigger, because the thing is, like with the 6 months or whatever time frame you end up choosing for, you will get the opportunity to sort of like test and trial run anything you want to do with no consequences, because you're not paying for it. And at the same time, it's sort of like a learning lesson as well. You'll learn something out of it regardless of what type of success or failure that comes from it as well.
I think as creative people, we tend to be the most sensitive people, especially myself. Sometimes I tend to lose confidence in my work, and you kind of have to pick yourself up and believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, then I don't think others are going to believe in you either. So you kind of have to just keep going and believe in yourself and have confidence and never give up, and especially with what I wanted to do, I don't think I'll ever give up, even with the lack of opportunities coming my way. I'll always look for the light and try and keep going, and in my personal practice, that would be to create video games and kind of create the enjoyment and the smiles and the emotions that the video games had an effect on me when I was playing them.